election. I got an email from you last night. As the elections were going on, I thought I better show you what I did and how I did it, so you'll know it wasn't an easy problem. First thing I did was to look at Roots Magic. I got the old file. I went into Reports and List, and then I did a list of individuals. Just like you thought I would, I left all this stuff out. I selected everyone. I did a text file of both the old and new versions. Then to look at those, what I did was I pulled it into my little VEdit editor because it's fast. Here was the report that I got from you on 2610.3, and it looks like it's a pretty standard format. It has commas, the name, dash. I used that dash to chop this stuff apart and made a file out of it in Excel. I also had and did the same thing with the one that is newer. Oh, look at this though. And here was the problem. About halfway through both of these reports, Bruce Busby decided that he didn't have a surname. So about halfway through, he decided, how do I know it's halfway through? The bar over here, and he had no surname. So he just said, hey, there's no surname. So the standard of having a dash and then the record number no longer existed. If you go Control End, this one is 2,600,000 and where is, and the other one is, come here, where are you? If we look at this one and go to the very end of it, it is 2656. Oh, it's kind of a half. It's 125,000 names times 2 is really what it is. So these files that just simply print the report didn't work. So what do? Well, you go and you say, okay, dump the GEDCOM. So you go down here and you export the old one and the new one to GEDCOM on this play one, and let's look at what those look like. So if I've pulled those GEDCOMs in, and here is the one from you, and if I go to the very top and look at the head, it's a Roots Magic file. If I go to the bottom, this GEDCOM file is 2,824. It's 2.8 million lines of text. And mine was, go to the very end, it is 2.4 million lines of text. I got to show you what I do with those so you know how to suck them into Excel. I start out with a brand new book. I go into data. I have the latest Excel, so I do a new query from file text. All right. So you say, hey, I'm pulling in a text file and let's pull it in. So you say, okay, and watch this. Now, you have to halfway understand what's happening in Power Query. Power Query connects to the text file, sucks it in, and only looks at the first 200 rows. And after it looks at the first 200 rows, and you kind of leave that other stuff alone, you go and edit this stuff, and you say, all right, here we go. And you can do lines of text at a time. Now, I know all those numbers are only in a 0 for the column 1. So here's all of the indie numbers. That's individual record numbers is what we're looking at. I don't need the 0 anymore, so I can remove it. Let's take, and I got to get rid of that indie and get those numbers out of there. Let's split this column by a delimiter. I'm going to bet that if I move over and split by a space, and in a space in the first most space, it's going to go like this, and this text file is coming in, and all of a sudden I say, I only want the indie numbers, so I'm going to get rid of that and only show the indie numbers, and I'm close, okay? Because now I'll bet you, in looking at this standard, I don't need this column anymore, and let's take and replace values of all of those @ signs with nothing, and get rid of the I's because I know all of those have individuals. So I'm going to remove values and get rid of the I's. And here we go. So now, and let's make these numbers. So hopefully it'll be less space. So we're going to change these from text two whole numbers, and you say okay, and then you come and you say I'm going to close and load this to this table, and let's put it right here on 1. I'm going to load it. Now here's the important part of this. As this is working, it tells me how many rows it loads. And it turns out it goes chunka, 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 and it gets down to 63,000 rows. Now I know that there's 125,000. And when I do my file of this, it gives me 96,000 people. So I kept pulling these in, trying to do logical with them. I could not figure it out. And this morning I got up and here's the answer. If you edit this Power Query, let's go and edit that guy, this Power Query, because I must have made some stuff wrong. Maybe I should have trimmed or something. So I'm going to start kind of, and you go back step by step, and you can remove these steps to see where you started. And it turns out that when you go all the way back, and I started right here, it gave me that. But if you go right back to the source and you edit the very first source, this silly thing comes up and it says a CSV. No, I don't want CSV. I want text. But it gave me, I thought it was text in the beginning. You turkeys. So now we're going to load that into our Power Query. And here's what we get. And I'll tell you what we're going to do. Let's do a split from the beginning. And we're going to do a delimiter, and we're going to do a space here, and we're going to do left edge, and we're going to get all of these guys over here. And if we treat it as a text file, and now we're going to say only show me the zeros here. All right, only zeros, and now I can get rid of that, close to what I did last time. So I'm going to remove that column, and let's split this guy again. Split by a delimiter. Let's take and chop it up by the first space again. Leftmost space. And unexpected error. Formula has been, oh yeah, I got that last time. Come on. And then we're going to say I only want these ones that have Indy in them for individuals. Now we can get rid of this column, remove that column, do the same thing we kind of did last time. Change this. We're going to replace those values of that @ sign with nothing. Get rid of those guys. Get rid of the i's. We're going to replace those values of I to nothing. Now I get rid of the i's, and then I'm going to change this to numbers just to make it numbers. Change the type to whole number. And now we're going to say, hey, would you import that? Close and load. Lock and load. And we're looking at this number right here. How many rows of data are you going to pull in? So if it pulls in 125,000, importing this thing as a CSV file instead of a text file makes all the difference in the world. So I must have spent 3 hours pulling these things in, trying to figure them out last night, and couldn't figure it out. After you get this thing in here, and oh, hot dog, it got them all. So I do this with the old file, I do it with the new file. I then chop both of those to numbers only, because being in a table and trying to do a formula down this whole, how many rows are they got here? All this 125,000 rows takes about 2 minutes to do, and finally my Excel hangs. I must have hung Excel 20 times last night. So that is how I got you the worksheet that you have now, so you can compare and contrast those old record numbers and the new record numbers. I hope that helps.